have a lot of clients come to me when they have they're unclear about where they should be investing their money when it comes to talent acquisition. Many of them have used agencies in the past, and there's certainly a time and a place for agencies. But in order to really kind of bring in a recruiting partner who's going to work alongside your organization, either with your talent acquisition team or stand alone, there's some important things to consider. The key consideration that you need to understand is people have an employer brand. Whether you believe it or not, there are sites out there like Glassdoor, Google reviews, various LinkedIn sourcing of information. Indeed has various places where you can look up employer information. There's a number of different sources where candidates can find out information about you as an employer. And the number one thing you need to consider when you're going to move forward with your recruiting strategy is to make sure that you have a good employer brand strategy. And that goes to a number of different levels. It's how you approach the marketplace, how you approach candidates, how you communicate with candidates, how many partners you're working with who are also communicating with those candidates. The interview process, the length of time in between interviews, the number of interviews that you're conducting for a candidate. There's a number of factors that go into what I call the candidate experience. And whether you like it or not, the candidate experience is a very important thing to your brand, both as an employer and as a company as a whole. The more partners you work with, the more candidates you reach, the more they're talking about you as an employer and as a brand, it's a representation of your company. And so if it's not an excellent representation of your company and of your brand, you'll ultimately have trouble both hiring people in the future and also potentially trouble as a company, as a brand, the brand for your company. So these are really, really important things to consider when you develop your overall talent acquisition strategy. We like to start first and foremost with an overall budget review of your talent acquisition team and your overall costs. Your internal talent acquisition team, your agency team, your recruiting tools, your internal ATS. We like to measure all of those in terms of what is your current talent acquisition budget. Then we like to dive a little deeper into your employer brand. Your employer brand is represented by various information sites that are reporting about you to various candidates, again, which you may or may not even know about. We like to make sure that our clients have a high quality employer brand, and we can help them with that, improving that employer brand. Then we like to create a recruiting strategy, a sourcing strategy that's also in line with your employer brand to ensure that you're reaching candidates in the most professional and the most effective manner. Being mindful of their time investment in your recruiting process. I've seen a number of employers who are not conscientious of their candidates' time. I've heard candidates going through as many as 20 to 25 interviews, which is again, it's just considerate of their time. So what needs to happen when that occurs is you either need to evaluate the number of people that need to interview that candidate, the structure of that interview, whether it be more panel interviews, and ultimately the process and the timing. I believe that most organizations need no more than 2, if not 3 interviews to make an effective decision. And so how you structure those interviews and the interview process is a very important thing. Yeah, your screening up front in order for the candidates just to even get into the pipeline is an important process. It's important because ultimately, one of the things that is hard for a candidate and just human nature in general is to be rejected. And so ultimately, your goal is to get as many people into the process as possible without feeling like they're being rejected in a way that's again, going to hurt your employer brand. Things that are happening more often than ever these days are ghosting, job postings that aren't real. I heard an estimate that there was as many as 40% of job postings on the internet are not real. So these are frustrating candidates, fake job postings, ghosting of candidates. These are the kind of things that really can affect your company's brand. And it goes beyond just employer brand, it's actually your company's brand as well. These are important things to consider whenever you're going to go forward with any kind of a talent acquisition strategy, whether it's with your internal team or whether it's an outsourced recruiting partner or even an agency. Ensuring that they have a high quality process and that you are on the same page as to what the experience is for the candidates, that's the most important thing. Even if you're working with multiple agencies, The candidate experience for those different agencies that are representing your brand should at least be consistent enough for you to understand that a candidate coming from agency A, B, or C is ultimately creating a candidate experience that's consistent with what your brand wants and what you're looking for. So these are the things that I like to advise my clients on when developing an overall talent acquisition strategy. If you're a talent acquisition leader or a CEO of your company and you're worried about your talent acquisition strategy going forward, I would love to set up a time for a free consultation for understanding some of your objectives as a company, your hiring needs, your budgetary levels, your employer branding strategy, your candidate experience strategy. I'd love to help you build a world-class recruiting process for your organization. And as always, thank you for listening.